Hello, everyone. This is Carla Valle-Clan from the Secretariat of the Basel, Rotterdam, and Stockholm Conventions. I wonder the profile of all of you here, but I suspect that some of you are OCPs or new OCPs to the Stockholm Convention, or that you work with those responsible for this obligation of the convention, the national reporting under Article 15. So the objective of this webinar is just to raise a few points about this obligation. Since the 5th reporting cycle just started, we launched the questionnaire for the 5th reporting cycles recently, and all OCPs were informed about that. So we are doing 2 webinars this week, and in January we will continue and perhaps do a couple of them also focus on some of the chemicals that are covered by the convention. This presentation will be also available on the website of the convention later on. So in case you want to inform one of your colleagues who cannot make it, there will be these other opportunities, either to look at it on the website later on or to join other events we will do next year. I start normally these presentations with motivation from the reason why we have reporting under the different conventions. Actually, this is a kind of obligation that is common to many conventions. And in specifically, it's important to think about it from your own perspective as a party to this convention. So in my view, I use these 2 arguments to explain why this is so important for all of us. So the first one is it's a suggestion for yourselves. So basically, when you are preparing your report for this convention or to any other, you are actually collecting data information about your own country and then how it's evolving in the sense or in the scope of that convention. So basically do it for yourselves first, because you are going to learn a lot about your own country. And the second is a collective reflection. It's about what we do with the data collected through reports. So basically, in the case of the Stockholm Convention, this is done to allow all parties to assess the different aspects of this convention. So there are different types of assessments that take place on a regular basis under the convention, and all of them rely on the data that is provided through the reporting under Article 15. Also, I use this opportunity to recall that this is not something that the Secretariat just requests as a matter of requesting, as I hear in different trainings. This is something that the parties agreed to, and it's part of the convention text, and there are several decisions following it. So which means that it's something that was assessed to be important and suggested, and therefore it's very important that all of you play your responsibility under this obligation. Here is to show a little bit what the situation is of the Stockholm Convention reporting cycles. And so what we can see here is the total submitted on the gray bar, the blue one, those that are on time, doing the reporting, sending the reportings by the deadlines, and the orange ones are the late ones. So what we are seeing is actually, it's not a good picture, to tell the truth, is that we are always kind of around the 50% of parties only sending reports, and many send late reports. And this is something that we would like to improve. So let's hope that with your commitment to this convention, this situation can also change, and we can have more parties reporting, and ideally on time, so that we can do the assessments that I mentioned before. I also use these slides here, the next ones, to show a little bit from the benefits of what we can do with reporting data. This is a graphic that I took from one of the assessments we have under the convention, the effectiveness evaluation. And in one picture, because we have data from national reporting, we can see a lot of things. So this one is showing you parties that have implemented measures to control POPs. And again, here we have a division on the screen. On the left side, you have here several pesticides, which are the early POPs, initial POPs listed under the convention. And on the right side, you have the more industrial POPs, which were more recently, let's call it, later listed under the convention. On the blue bars, you can see those that have implemented measures to control POPs, and the red, those that didn't. and the gray, those that didn't respond. So either they didn't respond the questions related to this part of the report, or they didn't report at all. So if you look at the first part of the graphic on the left side, you see that for those early chemicals, lots of parties have implemented measures to control POPs, which is very good news. And therefore, this can help everybody, your own country, but also this financial mechanism, the Secretariat, the regional centers, all to see whether parties need help in that or not. When we look at the second part of the graphic on the right side, we see that actually there is still a lot of work to be done. So we still have a lot of work to do in terms of measures to control this kind of POPs. Now, this one's illustrated here on the screen. So this is all based on data from national reporting. If we don't have data, we cannot see that. Another example is about the production, following the same principle. That red is showing that you have lots of space still to work on the right side of the screen, but good news on the left side of the screen that almost nobody is producing those POPs. Another graphic that we could take because of data related to DDT is this one that shows the changes over the years in the sub-Saharan African region and other regions. And we can see that the situation specifically on sub-Saharan has changed a lot. So you had a huge increase in the beginning of the 2000s, but then you have a huge decrease later on. So this again is based on data from national reporting. So from all these perspectives, I hope you can understand the benefits of all of you playing along.
If you allow me, please, one question.
Can we do questions at the end, if you don't mind?
That's fine. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Here it's about the mandate and frequency under the National Reporting of Stockholm Convention. So the mandate comes from Article 15. There are other types of information that are supposed to be shared under the convention, but we are focusing this presentation here today on Article 15. And it contains a lot of qualitative questions and details asked, and some quantitative requests on production, import, export, and also information on UPOPs, unintentionally produced POPs. The reporting regularity or frequency was decided by the COP, and it's for this convention every 4 years. Here, a quick overview about the quantitative data, which is normally, why am I stressing this part? Because this is where parties normally need more time to collect information and organize themselves. And these are the main areas of the questionnaire that require information from the quantitative point of view. Now, specifically about this new reporting cycle, the 5th one, we updated the questionnaire with the most recent chemicals listed under the convention from COP8, DECA-BD, SCCP, HCBD, which was already in Annex A, and now it's in Annex C as well. Then from COP9, we have dicofol and PFOA. And this is the regular thing that we do. So every 4 years, we take note of what the COP has listed, if any chemical, and see the obligations under those chemicals and how they should be reflected in the questionnaire. We have also several documents to guide you in doing the work in preparation for the report. There is a set of documents on inventories, which can help you a lot. And that can help also in your NIP. But eventually, the data that you collect through your NIP, the National Implementation Plans can also be used here in national reporting. We also did some surveys and got feedback from parties and also from the evaluations under the convention. And based on those, we tried always to expand and to improve the user interface and the way we present information in the reporting questionnaire. And that was also done for this one. The deadline for submission of the 5th reporting cycle is the 31st of August next year. So the system is already open to all OCPs and technical teams, so you can already have a look at it and submit as soon as you are ready, but ideally before the 31st of August. We also will provide you with feedback on the 4th reporting submitted in case your country has done one. And that should aim at helping you improve your 5th reporting cycle. We have manuals which are available on the website. We'll do webinars as this one and others. The improvements of the reporting system. These are all aimed at supporting you parties. And at any time, you can also reach us via email and we can organize either a specific event for you in case that's needed, or at least we clarify via email or phone call. So there are lots of tools out there to help you do this task. We understand from the Secretariat point of view that it's not an easy and quick task. So the earlier you start, the better. That guarantees the quality of the data that you're going to submit in your reports and also the timeliness. Now, another part of the presentation is just to highlight for those who are new to the Stockholm reporting obligation area, where do you find the means to report? It's through the electronic reporting system, which is available from the convention website under the menu countries. There you have a whole area about reporting where you can see the overview and mandate, the decisions, the work that a small working group did some years ago on the manual, and the access to the system itself using the user account that was provided to the OCP via email. The system is available in 6 languages, the 6 UN official languages: Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Spanish, and Russian. We would like to ask you to kindly let us know if you see any problem. This is always a critical part of the system. We have formal translators doing the work for us, but there is always a chance that we miss here and there. We did a couple of tests, but it's never enough. So if any of you see any mistake, please let us know and we'll try to fix it as soon as possible. And in the case of the Stockholm Convention, we have 2 accounts that are provided to each party, the ones for the official contact points, the OCPs, who are the ones with the access to the submission itself. And then we have what we call the technical offers accounts that can be shared within the team of the OCP, and then multiple people can actually fill in the different areas of the reporting questionnaire. So perhaps in your country, there is someone working on PCBs, so that person, for example, could be filling up the parts on PCBs, while another one is perhaps responsible for PFOS, and therefore that person can then enter the system and complete the information on PFOS, etc. Here, a quick overview so that you can see how it looks like in case you have not seen before. So it's a system, a web interface where you see on the left side the buttons that allow you to navigate between the different sections of the report, the different pages. And on the top, you also have a toolbar. On the top of the toolbar, you have the option to navigate, which is next page, back page, and so on, to save all your changes in case the system automatically does, but we recommend that you also guarantee in case you stop doing your work in the middle, which is natural, to always press this button. We have also this button for helping you check the quality of your report, which is check for errors on this page. It's not a very advanced feature, but it already helps you at least identify which questions or sub-questions or tables may be empty. You still can decide to submit the report. So the errors is just to help you, is not to block you from reporting and to submit your report in case you cannot answer all questions. You can also download this document in a Word format, Microsoft Word format. This is not to be submitted like that, so the submission has to be done online, but this is a helpful tool in case you as an OCP want to share your report with other departments or the ministries, even to either validate the data or to have a discussion on the data, and then you come back and do the changes as you may need. And finally, the logout. And the most important part of this, what is on the screen now, is the main working area. So as you navigate through the system, you will see different questions, different tables, and those are the ones that you are supposed then to fill in and answer. In the Stockholm reporting obligation, we decided to keep what we call the data migration from one cycle to another. In the case of Stockholm, there is a lot of analysis on trend. So we try to reuse whatever we can from the past and only change what is needed and what was able to be done. So when you look up on your 5th reporting cycle questionnaire, you will see data of your previous reporting cycle. So probably the 4th for those who submitted. If you never reported, it will always be empty. But we ask you all to carefully review the information to see if there is any change or if there was something that you learned and then you want to change because of that. And therefore, for some countries, you will see, for example, in a table like this one on the screen, which is about production, some numbers already, some values on it. Let's say the case of Aldrin here on the screen, for this party here, in the previous reporting cycle, the party said that they never produced it. And at least the information is until before 2001. So at least that OCP is dealing with that. And it goes on like that. So this happens to many questions and many tables on the reporting questionnaire. So please pay attention to this detail. And if you have any questions, reach out to me, please. A small feature that may be helpful to some of you is links to references. So when you see the title of a question or a table, there is a part which is maybe highlighted, and that part relates to the articles under the convention. That gives you the reference in the convention related to the objective of that question and to what we want to measure. One point that I would like to highlight also is that there are many questions with sub-questions. So if you are new to the system, please pay attention to that. Once you say yes or no, perhaps the list of sub-questions like these ones on the screen may appear. So here, because the country said that they have developed an inventory on dioxins and furans, then more details are asked about that specific chemical. And the same may happen to other questions. So just be careful not to miss any if you can. I already highlighted this, the error checking feature. So this is just an example of how it runs. It will show you some red or pink views on the screen. Now a few highlights about the changes. This information is also presented in the technical note that I sent to all OCPs. So based on the evaluation of the different assessments under the convention, the surveys that we did and feedback we received, we, as I said in the beginning of my presentation today, we always try to improve. So in the case of UPOPs, the tables are very long and we had them on the horizontal format. And we hear in different occasions that was difficult to see, that was difficult to copy and paste information from other sources into those tables. So we tried to improve it, and now they are on the vertical format. And they are very much similar to the ones used under the toolkit, which is the tool that you normally use to collect and organize your information on unintentional POPs. So if you have done that part of the work, it will be much easier for you to just reuse information here in this table. So you have for each year a table with the different releases on the different matrices. On PCBs, based on the assessment of PCBs, we also got a lot of suggestions to improve. And here are just highlights for you. So we simplified table 9.3 on open applications. We also simplified the huge table we had on inventories with this format here. When you look into the website, you will see more the details, but it's much more simplified than in the previous reporting cycles. And we also improved a little bit the information on import and export of PCB. They are all concentrated on the PCB section of the the questionnaire. And some small changes such as column names and so on for destruction of PCB. So nothing major there, but these two are major ones for your information. Also on PFOS, we did the same based on the assessment on the PFOS. We saw that very little data was also reported, and we tried to simplify the input of data on the table, the tables 5 and 6 questions and tables actually. They used to be very big and comprehensive, and as the acceptable purpose and exemptions are expiring, also less things make sense to be in those big tables, so we move them to a simplified and shorter version of tables in the system. Finally, when your country has finished all the work on the national report and collected the data over months, perhaps, this cannot be done in one day. Normally, you take time to collect the data and check which one you are going to include in this new report. After you finish that, validated your data, then the OCP is the one to connect to the system and press at the last page of the reporting questionnaire the button submit the national report. So this is important because I get a lot of questions from other technical people asking, can I submit the report? No, this is the responsibility of the OCP and only that person will see this button. Now some lessons learned from different assessments. So this is just to call your attention in case you have not used the system before. So we suggest that you should avoid leaving any question or table without an answer. So if you cannot answer, please at least put a comment in the comment field explaining what happens so that when we do the assessments, we understand what the difficulties are and perhaps can improve in the future also. Numeric fields, we put in the fourth reporting cycle a lot of quality checks, automatic ones, but then we learned that they were too much. So now we have a mix for some of the questions we have, some blockages, and we try to improve that. That means that numeric fields should not contain text. If you are supposed to put information which is about inventories, quantitative data, it should not be a field that you put then no information is available. That you can put in the comments fields. This system is based on a technology that uses decimal separators as dot, not commas. So this is just for you to learn. Then we, as I mentioned before, the time series is something that is very important for the Stockholm Convention. So we want to assess the convention over time and see how the changes are happening. Therefore, when you are providing data, at least put the last 4 years of data. But if you have more because you did an update of your NIP or because you did a specific project that you collected more data, please put more data as much as you have there. Talking about NIPs, what we notice in the effectiveness evaluation is that many countries have a responsible person for the NIP and many for national reporting, and they not necessarily are talking to each other, which means that some data that you collected under your NIP process could be reused in the report and it's not being used. So we invite you to take that step and reflect if any of the data that you already collected through your NIPs or updates of your NIPs could be reused here. And then the final one, which is basic, but it's very important again to highlight, is that before you submit it, it would be great to have a check. And if possible, perhaps as a group of people, because different people see different things. So before submitting it, do your own quality check so that you are sure that what you are reporting is what it's supposed to do and nothing important is missing. Then going a little bit into what is available on the website. So I mentioned that there are a few manuals. There is one on the electronic reporting system, the ERS, which explains what I just explained in my short presentation. There are more details over there about the system itself. So it's the focus on the system, which is simple, but perhaps if you are new to the game and new to the job, this may be handy. Then we have a more comprehensive manual, which is about the quality of what is expected in each question and table. And this is the manual for the national report under the convention, focus on the questionnaire. So you have an instruction about each part of the questionnaire. And here's just an example for you to see. So explaining what is expected in this question. In question 1, for example, no NIPs. So it's to indicate whether or not your country has developed a national implementation plan. And then it suggests what you should do in case you want to answer yes, and so on. So again, this may be basic for those who are already doing this job for a long time, but for those who are new to the job, I strongly recommend you to have a look at this documentation to be sure that you are not missing an important aspect of the questionnaire. Here's a different example about the production table that we discussed before. So when to answer yes, when to answer no, when to answer the numbers here and so on. Finally, we have launched a few months ago what we are calling the dashboard on national reporting information, which is a means to visualize data information submitted by the parties on the website with some graphics and some tables that we hope that are very useful to all of you. The structure is based on the questionnaire that you submit on national report. Is an interactive tool, and we have different ways of showing information. Sometimes we have raw data, sometimes we have aggregated data, and you can access that also under the national reporting part of the website. So under countries, reporting, the item reporting dashboard. And that doesn't require a username or password, so it's for everybody, for parties, but also non-parties or other organizations or experts or people interested in knowing the data and the trends under the Stockholm Convention. We're still developing it. So again, on this tool, if you have any suggestion or if you see any problem, please let us know. We have in this tool a menu also on the left side, which is based on the structure of the questionnaire. So you have there the part B, part C, part D, which are all related to the questionnaire. So if you're not very familiar with the questionnaire, this might be not so easy. But we also have the so-called overviews, and we plan to expand them. And finally, we have also the status of submission, which gives you a quick overview about the submissions on the Stockholm Convention, Article 15. Here are quick highlights about the dashboard. On top of the screen, normally you have a menu where you can select the reporting cycle that you want to look data at. In the future, we hope also to be able to combine, but as I said, most of the data is migrated from one cycle to another. So if you are in doubt, then use the latest one. We didn't put yet the 5th there. We have to do some adaptations on the system. So far, you can only see the 4th. The 5th is just starting, so we will do the changes as soon as possible. And as soon as the countries also start reporting. You also have a filter by region, so you can see the world, you can see information for some regions, or by a group of countries. And depending on the question on the table, you have other filters, like the filter for the specific chemical, or the filter for the type of visualization you want to see, table or chart, or year, and so on. So we got very positive feedback of it, and I hope this can be really helpful for you. And again, in one image or two, you can really see things that normally are more difficult if you look at data from 90 countries. No? So here are just quick examples for you, showing information on a pie chart, so number of parties that have reported against the number of parties that have not yet reported, and things like that. You can also download these pictures in PDF form or PNG. So in case you want to, for example, organize a presentation in your country and use some of this reporting data, you can reuse the information from the dashboard. The same with the tables you see in the dashboard. The technology allows for the tables to be exported to Excel. So for some of these tables, you may want to do your own analysis as well, or any studies. So you can download the data and then play with it as you wish. Here, example of another filter already inside of a query. Just a sec, please. Sorry. You can play, depending on the question. This is all related to the question or table you are, but you can also see information by year. And this is showing one of them. This one is showing a filter by chemical, which is, I want to see this information, but then I want to perhaps focus on a specific chemical to see the behavior, like I showed in the beginning of my presentation as well. Here is the status of submission of reports that gives you the information on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and now also the 5th reporting cycle is going to be there. And some informations can be seen in graphic form like this one, in bar charts, in pie charts, or in bar charts, as this one, or even in a map. So again, here it's, in my opinion, an interesting picture that, you know, in one view, one image, you can quickly see the situation of a specific thing. In this case, it was, it's an old graphic, but it's about the production of all relevant chemicals. And you can see that we are still missing data, which is not good news, but you can also see that certain behavior is presented on the graphic, which is also useful for all of us doing work under the convention. So for now, I would like to stop and share with you my email, carla.vale@un.org, in case after the presentation you would like to reach out to me and have other questions, you please invited to do so. But also now I think we could have an exchange in case you have any questions. I'm here to help you. Thank you very much. happy to try to answer. Someone intervened in the middle of the presentation, so I wonder if you now would be interested. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, first of all, I would like to thank you, Carla, for the excellent presentation, which is showing really rich information and supporting document that could help the country who've been providing such report and data analysis that could help and improve. And just my suggestions. Do you think if including such a report to add something called best practice, lesson learned, at least to exchange the experience from the other country, especially if there is a common, let's say, workflow that could implement from country to other, but at least there was some difficulties, we can get a lesson and learn or best practice on this report to help other to start implement such a requirement. So what do you think in this opinion?
I think it's a great idea. Sorry to ask, but where are you from, please?
This is Dr. Saeed Zahrani from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. No, I think it's a great idea. We do normally do this kind of exchange when we have an event, like a training event. In a webinar as this one is perhaps too short for that, but we can also share some. But I'll think about it. I mean, perhaps we can also document some of these best practices. We don't have that at the moment, as far as I know. But I think it's a good idea because perhaps the difficulties that one is having can help the other solve, or the solution that one country perhaps had for overcoming a specific barrier can be reused by someone else. So I'll think of it, but normally in trainings, if you come to one of our trainings when we have them, that is something we normally do face-to-face or now electronically when we will have some of them. But I'll think about it. Thank you for your suggestion. If you have any specific more suggestions, I'm also willing to learn. It would be great.
Thank you for
from your country. If you have your own country, also have some to share with us. That would be great.
Yes, for sure. And since we aligned on this structure, for sure, if we have something, we can also adapt it in this report that allow other countries to get listen and exchange the experience between those countries. I mean, this is something I think it is adding value as well. Back again to the presentation on the report, just my question about the gray bar on the flowchart or the graphic. This is what's presenting actually. I just seek information only.
You're talking about the first ones that I showed now when I was showing data. Yeah, those are parties that either didn't report at all on the specific cycle that I was using for that presentation, or that they didn't answer the question on that. For example, let's take a graphic that would show information on production. If your country would still submit a report but not present information on the specific question on production, your country in that question, if I do a graphic on that question, it will show it as gray because you didn't respond that question. But it can also be that we're not distinguishing here who responded that specific question from who didn't provide a report at all. We treat them as not reporting for that specific question, which is a tendency here, which is not good. To tell the truth, that's very preoccupying. Why are so many parties not reporting, or why so many parties not answering all the questions of the report with some important data? That's something that the Secretary always tries to understand and to help to the extent we can. But it will also be interesting to hear from you. If you have any insights.
This is really a good clarification. However, just my opinion also, those question, did we do some analysis before we submit it to the country to be answered? Might be or could be some difficulties, or could be the way that how they adapt the question. It could either not clear, or it could have some difficulties on the implementation. So just thinking loudly, if we have like some analysis about those questions, and at the end agreed on question after do the alignment or exchange it with all countries, this is what we are looking for. And everyone, they know in order to help the team or the committee here to get the right updated. As you mentioned, really it was showing a high number of people not respond or not sending a report. Either there was some reason, I'm sure, about it. But at least if we get that concern and aligned on those questions, so every party is here, he know how they extract the data and how they report it and how they could improve the committee and the report that you are looking for.
Yes, to answer your question, yes. So all the evaluations that I mentioned that happen, and the biggest one is the effectiveness evaluation, look at everything. We look at everything. And we look at the questions, we look at the numbers, we look at the number of responses, the type of difficulties. So from our side, I would say we have done that from the Secretariat point of view. Also, the COP, the Conference of the Parties, has the document showing the questionnaire every time we go to the COP. Sorry, someone is saying that cannot hear, but can you hear me, other colleagues?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. So there's someone with a problem hearing then. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I would say we do at the Secretariat level, we do at the levels of the different evaluations, and we do at the COP. In all these chances, parties have the possibility to suggest improvements, and please do so. If you find that something is unclear, also the manual came as an idea of that, saying perhaps what is clear for some people is not clear for others. So we wrote the manual with a group of parties exactly to try to help people understand what is expected. And if the question is still not clear, we can improve it in the future, please. Yeah, send your suggestions if you can, and you have all these chances, as I mentioned, at the COP, reaching out to me, and in any training event that you may be invited to. And now think about also the best practice as a way to share information on that, and that can also perhaps bring other highlights. For example, the changes on PCBs. Those changes on the PCB part came because of the working group working on PCBs. There is a working group who is formed by a group of parties and some experts. And based on their input, we changed the questions on the questionnaire and the tables. Because I think originally when the tables and questions were developed, there was an idea that they were possible to be answered. And then over the time, we are seeing that countries had difficulties, parties had difficulties, and then we try to simplify them based on the input from parties again. That's another opportunity for all of you here. Whenever there is a working group under the convention, if you feel that you can contribute, either from your point of view or because you would like also to learn how things are, I invite you to join one of those working groups or more than one, so that you can also see how that works and perhaps make your own suggestions on how to improve things.
I think this is a good idea, Carla. Really appreciate it. Thank you again for such a clarification, and wish you and the rest of the team and country all the best. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question on the chat here from Ristina. When the emails with reporting credentials for the 5th reporting cycle were sent to the OCP, because I'm afraid I did not receive it. It was sent last week. I would suggest you, Ristina, that the two of us can talk bilaterally later. You can send me an email if you wish, or send me your email right now here on the chat so that I can write to you. And then we can check what the situation is for the OCP of Bulgaria. Is there any other question? Thank you. Thank you, Christina. Does anyone have something to share with us as well? I mean, as a suggestion from the colleague from Saudi Arabia, would you have any other suggestions or any other difficulties that you would like to share with us? Don't be shy. For now, no. All right, so as I mentioned to you, please feel free to contact us in the Secretariat. The presentation will be shared with you. My email is on it, and also on the website, so it's easy to find me. And if not, you can reach out to other colleagues in the Secretariat that you may know, and they will reach out to me, and I'm happy to help you in the next months, and hoping that all of you here today, we have different countries here, would be having an easy life, or at least a better life in the 5th reporting cycle than in the 4th. What you can expect from us in the next month or 2 is to receive the feedback. We are still working on it. We have a couple of delays, unfortunately, due to some colleagues that had to be on leave. Just a sec. Yes, and again, yeah, at the COP, we will have a chance as well in case you have any suggestion, and also in the next webinars that we will be organizing next year. If you have any other suggestion or question, please reach out. And thank you very much for your attention and time today. I hope this is useful for you and your teams. Have a good day and a good afternoon. And until next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.